Writing. The conversation I had with my daughter about moving back and changed everything. I knew something was wrong the moment my daughter paused before knocking. Emily had never hesitated at my door before, not as a child who used to burst in without warning, not as a teenager who slammed it in anger, and not even as an adult who insisted she didn't need me anymore. But that evening, I watched through the frosted glass as her silhouette lingered, hand raised, frozen between leaving and asking. That pause told me everything. I opened the door before she could change her mind. "Mom," her voice was smaller than I remembered, like it had been folded into itself. "Emily," I said gently, stepping aside, "come in." She walked past me, her shoulders hunched, clutching her purse like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I noticed the little details mothers never stop noticing: the chipped nail polish, the tired eyes, the way her hair wasn't brushed the way she used to care about. Something had broken her, and I didn't know when. "Do you want tea?" I asked, defaulting to the only comfort I knew how to offer. She nodded. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the same table where I had once helped her with math homework and listened to her teenage heartbreaks. But this felt different, heavier, like we were standing on the edge of something neither of us could fully see yet. She wrapped her hands around the mug, but didn't drink. "Mom," she started again, then stopped. I waited. Silence, I had learned, was sometimes kinder than pushing. "I might need to move back in." The words landed softly, but they echoed loudly. I took a breath, steady and slow, because the truth was, I had imagined this moment before. Not because I wanted it, but because motherhood never really lets you stop preparing for your child to fall. Still, I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I asked the question that mattered more than anything else. "What happened?" Her eyes filled instantly, like the answer had been sitting right behind them, waiting for permission. "It's everything," she whispered. "The job, the apartment, Mark, I can't keep up anymore." "Mark." I felt something tighten in my chest, but I didn't let it show. "Tell me," I said. And she did. She told me about losing her job 3 months ago and pretending everything was fine. About how she burned through her savings trying to hold onto the life she thought she was supposed to have. About Mark becoming distant, then critical, then gone. "He said I was too much," she said, her voice cracking. "Too emotional, too dependent, not stable enough." I leaned forward slightly. "And you believed him?" She didn't answer. Which was answer enough. I exhaled slowly, choosing my next words carefully because this moment, this fragile, painful moment, would shape everything that came after. "Emily," I said softly, "you're not too much, you're just human." Her lips trembled. "But I failed, Mom," she said. "I moved out, I said I could do it on my own, and now I'm back here asking for help like I never left." There it was. Not just fear. Shame. And that was the thing I needed to break first. "You didn't fail," I said firmly. She looked up, surprised by the strength in my voice. "Life isn't a straight line," I continued. "It's messy, it loops. Sometimes it knocks you down just to remind you that you're not meant to do everything alone." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I feel like I disappointed you." That one hurt. Not because it was true, but because she had carried it long enough to believe it. I reached across the table and took her hand. "You could never disappoint me by needing help," I said. "You'd only disappoint me if you refused it and let yourself break instead." She squeezed my hand tightly, like she was holding onto something solid after drifting too long. "I didn't want to come back," she admitted. "Not because of you, but because it feels like going backward." I nodded. "I understand that." She searched my face, maybe expecting me to argue. But I didn't. "Sometimes going back," I said gently, "is the only way to move forward properly." She let out a shaky breath. "I don't even know who I am anymore, Mom." That was the real problem. Not the job, not the apartment, not even Mark. She had lost herself. And I knew exactly how that felt. Because I had been there too. "Do you want to know something I never told you?" I asked. She wiped her cheeks and nodded. "When you were about 8, I began, your father left and I didn't just lose him. I lost who I thought I was supposed to be." Her eyes widened slightly. "I remember sitting in this very kitchen," I continued, "thinking I had failed at everything. Marriage, stability, being enough." "But you didn't," she said quickly. I smiled softly. "I know that now, but back then, I felt exactly the way you do." She went quiet, absorbing that. "I had to rebuild myself," I said, "piece by piece, and do you know where I started?" She shook her head. "By asking for help," I said. That landed. Deeply. "You never told me that," she whispered. "I didn't want you to see me as weak." She gave a small, sad smile. "I wish you had," she said. "Maybe I wouldn't feel so ashamed right now." That was the moment something shifted between us. Not just mother and daughter, but two women finally meeting each other without the masks. "You can move back in," I said softly. Her breath caught. "But," I added, holding her gaze, "this isn't you giving up. This is you regrouping." She nodded slowly. "We'll make a plan," I continued. "Not just to get you back on your feet, but to figure out what you actually want, not what you think you're supposed to want." Her shoulders relaxed for the first time since she walked in. "I don't even know what that is," she admitted. "That's okay," I said. "We'll figure it out together." She let out a quiet laugh through her tears. "You always say that. And I always mean it." For a moment, we just sat there. The tension that had filled the room earlier began to dissolve, replaced by something warmer, safer. Hope. But then she said something that caught me off guard. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Were you ever scared I wouldn't come back?" The question lingered between us. Honest, vulnerable. Dangerous in its own way. "Yes," I said. Her eyes softened. "Why didn't you ever say anything?" "Because," I replied gently, "you needed to believe you could stand on your own. My fear shouldn't have become your limitation." She stared at me, something unreadable flickering in her expression. "You always knew exactly what to say," she murmured. I smiled faintly. "No," I said, "I just learned when to listen." That made her laugh, really laugh this time. And just like that, the heaviness cracked open a little more. We spent the rest of the evening talking, really talking. About what went wrong. About what she wanted. About what scared her. And for the first time in years, it didn't feel like I was guiding her from above. It felt like we were walking side by side. Before she left that night, she stood at the door again. But this time, she didn't hesitate. "Thank you, Mom," she said. "For what?" "For not making me feel like I failed." I stepped forward and pulled her into a hug. "You didn't fail," I whispered again. "You just paused." She held onto me tightly. And I realized something in that moment. This wasn't the end of her independence. It was the beginning of a stronger version of it. Emily moved back in 2 weeks later. And yes, there were adjustments. There were moments of tension, of old habits clashing with new realities, times when she felt frustrated, times when I had to remind myself she wasn't a child anymore. But something fundamental had changed. We talked more. We listened more. We respected each other in a way we never quite had before. She started applying for jobs again, but this time, not just anything. She was more intentional, more honest about what she wanted. She even started painting again. Something she had abandoned years ago because it wasn't practical. I watched her one afternoon, standing by the window, brush in hand, completely absorbed. And I thought, this is who she is. Not the version the world tried to shape. Not the version someone else rejected. But the real her. And maybe, just maybe, this detour was exactly what she needed. One evening, about a month after she moved back, She came into the kitchen while I was cooking. "I got an interview," she said. I turned, smiling. "That's amazing." She nodded, but she looked nervous. "What if I mess it up?" she asked. I walked over and placed my hands on her shoulders. "Then you learn," I said, "and you try again." She took a deep breath. "Okay." Then she paused. "And I've been thinking about moving out again," she said quickly. "Not now, but eventually, when I'm ready." I smiled. "That's the goal." She studied my face. "You're not worried?" "Of course I am," I admitted, "but I'm also proud." Her eyes lit up slightly. "Really? Really?" She smiled, soft but real. And in that moment, I knew. That conversation, the one that started with hesitation and fear, had changed everything. Not because she moved back in, but because we finally understood each other. And sometimes, that's the thing that rebuilds you the most.